Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's Resideo webinar session. We are very excited to be offering today's training. Today's topic we are going to be covering is boilers and oil combustion. My name is Jamie Quanrud and I'm part of the Resideo sales training team, and on behalf of all of us today, I'd like to welcome you to this training session. Before we get started with our technical presentation, I'd like to cover just a few administrative items. All attendees are muted for today's presentation. However, if at any point during the technical presentation you'd like to ask a question, please use the Q&A feature that is found in your Zoom webinar controls at the bottom of your screen. We are reserving the last 15 minutes of our time today to answer your questions. So as we progress through the technical training today, please be sure to ask any question in that Q&A feature so that we can address it at the end of today's session. With us today, we have both Lou McKay, who is one of our distributor sales team members who is serving the Pennsylvania market. And we also have Rick Pothier from Ed Oz joining us as well today. They're going to be handling our technical presentation today. And we're going to hand things over to Lou to cover the majority of the details of our presentation. So Lou, the floor is yours.
Well, good afternoon, guys. If I'm loud and clear, I'm live from Bedminster, Pennsylvania, on the east side of the state. And like Jamie said, we have PA, we've got New England representative, so slightly different accent from Rick's side. And I'm going to go through the oil primary, and we're going to kind of launch through the product and tell you some of the features and benefits of our electronic oil primary, the setup and troubleshooting, a history, the diagnostics, and then just some short slides on some of the new plumbing products that we have, and a surprise slide at the end to talk about some new controls. So with that, I'll start off and kind of give you a snapshot of who we are today. Residential Thermal Solutions, RTS products, under the Resideo Honeywell Home trademark. So we have a breadth of products that both in the core of what we do every day, both on the gas side and on the oil side. And those applications run a breadth of different products. So gas valve, ignition controls, pilot burners, igniters, oil primary, aquastats, fan limits, leak detectors, contactors, and transformers. So when you look at our boiler market today, the install base is about 9.1 million units located throughout the country, with the heaviest concentrations on the East Coast. And when you look at the makeup, you look at oil on the pie chart, LP, and natural gas, and you're seeing a lot of consumers know the value that oil delivers from a BTU standpoint and the comfort level that they get out of using it as a fossil fuel in our marketplace. It's been around for years and look forward to years to come. So Universal Oil Electric Primary. Our primary is the R7284U 1004. It's a line voltage safety rated primary control, residential oil fired burners and boilers and forced air. Used with CAD cell flame sensors and operates oil burner and operation oil valve. Diagnostics, ignite spark detection, CAD cell high run, CAD cell adjustment and cleaning, flame proven latent trial, low voltage alarms, and error history. It saves the last 10 errors and what the error was and how many cycles ago that it occurred. Universal capability replaces Beckett, Carlin, White Rogers, all great companies, and every Honeywell legacy control except the M model that does air conditioning. It's field adjustable, valve on delay, trial for ignition. It can be a 30, a 15, a 30, or a 45-second control. There's blower off delay, and it's easy pump priming and cycle. Recessed wiring pocket makes it easy to stuff the wires in. Safe start check. Check for flame presence prior to igniting the burner. Capable with power venters or without interval timers. It's also pretty damp resistant and water resistant, so we don't have any issues in that area. It's been a solid platform for us. So when you look at the control, it's alphanumerical 16-character plain language setup. It has an Envirocom communications port. There are TT terminals on it, but you can electronically put your TT jumper in the control. You don't have to wire it in. And it has an I button. As you know, there's no more red button on it, that's kind of convenient for technicians that the homeowner doesn't play around with it. And I'll talk about some of the features of that later on. This is the back of it, and you can see the pockets clearly labeled for your wiring, and the spade terminals are included in the box. So this is what's going to happen. English, French, or Spanish. I can set up a language. Current system status, CAD cell reading, diagnostic information is presented. When I go through the setup, all I have to do is hold all 3 buttons down on the right-hand side, and now I'm in the installer setup, and I can walk through. So it's a very simple, easy setup. I can quit, get out of the control very simply, very quickly when I'm finished setting the control up. Once I set the control up, let's say I'm setting up for a 15-second control. Once it goes through 100 cycles, the device is locked into that safety control. So it burns in after 100 cycles. There's the language choice there is very easy, and I can scroll through and use the up and down arrows. Adjusting valve on delay, up and down arrows is very simple too. Ignition timing, right there, and it's presented very clearly as I walk through the control. There's no other device that I need. Everything's right there in the box itself. So burner off delay, I can adjust up and down arrows. I can just press the I button to continue. TT configuration. So this is where I don't have to put a wire jumper in. I just say yes, and I have it configured for TT. Setup is just simple, just going through spark in the on delay, igniter spark during the valve on delay timing, select up and down, spark during the run time. This option allows the setup to control the interrupted or intermittent operation. By selecting no, the control will function as an interrupted control, sparking the igniter only during the trial for ignition. Selecting yes, it will be an intermittent functionality, sparking the igniter during the entire run cycle. Interrupted ignition uses less electricity and also reduces the amount of wear and cleaning replacement needed on the electrodes. So again, I can select up and down and hit the I button to continue. Allowed resets. So this is where I can kind of take the homeowner out of the equation. I can allow no resets. I can allow 1. I can allow 3 or no limit. So allowing the resets, if you get a call on a service call, you can tell the customer, hey, just go down and press the button once. So if I set this up, they get 1 shot. If it fires up, they're not loading up the box. So restricted lockout requires the I button to be held for at least 10 seconds before a reset occurs. Lockout requires the I button to be held for 2 seconds on the temporary lockouts. Again, it's just a simple show diagnostics. So you can have, look at the diagnostics. So let's say you want to look at something. I don't know if I'd want the customer scrolling through this to look at it. So you can say, no, I'll look at the diagnostics when I get there. So you can say yes or no on that, depending on what the application is or the type of homeowner it is. Selecting yes allows the diagnostic information to be viewed during the normal operation, which gives you maybe flexibility if it's a remote job site call. That may be handy for you to kind of diagnose something over the phone before you roll a truck. So showing diagnostics, again, you just cruise through it, select the quit button, and now I'm done the installer setup. So I can breeze through this control very quickly for the installer setup and be out of it in a minute or two. The guys that use these every day, it's very, very quick to set up and move through. When I quit the installer setup, I can re-baseline the control. So let's say I found faults, I fixed them, I can clean it out, and it starts all with a new baseline. And it's starting to log the data all over again. So that's a nice feature to set the control back up and start from square one again. So standby, idle mode, this is what it shows. There's a call for heat, valve on delay, and what will happen is this will start to click down as you see the clock start to wind down, and then ignition trial, the same thing as it counts down for the ignition trial, you'll see it. Pressing the up during the trial for ignition enables the pump priming mode. Every press up button adds 1 minute to the trial for ignition, timing up to 10 minutes. So it gives you some flexibility just by every time you hit the up button, you can add the additional pump priming feature. Pump prime, and then you're going to look at flame proven. Once the flame is proven, you'll see this message along with the ohms reading. When it's running, what the ohms are, and based on the strength of the flame. And you'll see that move up and down as it goes through. If it's trending in the wrong direction, and you can look at the trend of the CAD cell and kind of points you to the direction of where you need to go as far as diagnostic a problem or issue with the boiler. So burner off delay, once the call for heat ends, the control will display the burner motor off delay countdown. And that same thing, you'll see a countdown take place on the control. Standby, once completed, display will return to standby mode. Lockout or call service, restricted hard lockout can only be exited by holding the I button for longer than 10 seconds. Troubleshooting. So ignition did not occur and it cannot determine why. The following will be displayed: no ignition. If no ignition occurred and R7284 that cannot detect the spark, it will say check igniter. If no ignition occurs and the CAD cell shifts significantly during the trial for ignition, but did not reach the established flame threshold, the following is displayed: check CAD cell. Voltage, so it's got a little antenna. This is sometimes very helpful in remote properties that have some brownout issues or voltage issues. If the voltage drops below the minimum threshold, the following is displayed. See that a lot in remote areas trying to diagnose things. Exceed the max of recycles if the flame is lost more than allowed numbers of times. Flame was sensed during the valve on delay, and it explains it in plain language there. Flame was sensed during the burner motor off delay period, and when an internal error is sensed, such as AD failure, relay failure, etc., internal error. The Envirocom is just a communication bus that's shorted, or there was a bad circuit on the Envirocom. And we'll talk a little bit about that Envirocom connection. Basically, the R7284U can talk to our Aquastat, the L7224, and you'll get the error messages from the Aquastat on the oil primary. So it's something that not too many guys know about. It's a nice feature, and it's a separate slide deck I can go through, but it's a nice option on that Envirocom, how it's presented from the Aquastat.
Hey, Lou? Just want to add one thing. Just going back a little bit, a little comment on the, so they can understand where it says exceeded maximum recycles. Just to let you know, what the control now is telling you when you see this, the control basically is saying, I started and I fired, but somewhere during the run cycle, I lost flame. When it loses flame, it's going to go into a recycle and it's going to try to fire again. After it exceeds 3 of those in a row, it's going to lock out. So basically, the control basically told you, I did fire, but I lost flame during run. So I tell guys, look for, dirty oil filters, a suction leak or something, but That kind of explains what the control is trying to tell you when you see that exceeded recycles.
Thanks, Rick. Good pickup.
Yeah.
So, flame proof and latent trial, we talked about that. CAD cell high run during the run time, flame proven out of sequence, mode for longer than 1 hour. And then error history. So basically I can go back in and look at the last 10 errors that happened in this, so I can kind of diagnose what may have been taking place. If the boiler's running, you don't know what happened, it's shut off on the homeowner, it's fine again now, what took place, right? What's going on with the control? So I can go through this up and down to view the history. Error 1, last cycle. Error 2, 5 cycles ago. And I can end the history, and then I can also clear the history and start from square one again. So diagnostics is in the I button again. Press the I button, TT open, limit open. CAD cell looks like my ohms readings there. Obviously, if it gets around 1500, it's starting to trend in the wrong direction. View history. And I can go through the history of it and just keep on hitting the buttons as I go through. CAD cell screen will automatically scroll through 4 screens. Last cycle, baseline, ignition timing, 12 seconds. Baseline is 8 seconds. Burner cycle. So the total burner cycles is also calculated in there. And it'll go through since the last baseline and 4 lockouts since the last baseline. So basically, what we like this control is it points the technician towards the cause of failure. It gives him kind of a roadmap to what he needs to do and not waste time and get to the cause and get to the issue. I think it's a simple device. We love that you guys buy our 8184G a lot. I think this control, once guys are comfortable with scrolling up and down on the screen in plain language, it's an easy plug and play device and universal oil primary that you have on the truck regardless of what you come across, again, except for our M model that does air conditioning. Universal Electric Aquastat. So I just wanted to go through our L7224U real quick and go through the details of that, replacing both Resideo and competitive ones. Still the steel can, great product, LED function. Holding down the 3 buttons is the same way you set up this control, vertical or horizontal flush mounted options. Outdoor reset is available on the device. We have 2 outdoor resets. We have a wired outdoor resets to retrofit an existing piece of equipment. Obviously, it's been code since probably 2015, but there is a lot of equipment out there that people have not experienced the value of outdoor reset. And a lot of times guys who are new to the business may not understand how that works. How that's accomplished with outdoor reset. And I'll have a slide for that real quick for you. This also has a frost protection feature. It will protect the boiler from damage caused by freezing water when enabled. It turns the boiler on should the water temp drop below 40 degrees. Pump cycling prevents against damage resulting from extended periods of time of boiler inactivity. Maybe there's a mountain house up in the Poconos or upstate Pennsylvania. It's not used too often. It will cycle. When enabled, after 5 days of no boiler activity, the pump will circulate for 15 seconds. Add-on device automatically adjusts, so energy savings with outdoor reset is minimum basically 15%. And really what it's saying is I don't have to have the boiler temperature at peak to get the comfort level you need in the house based upon the load conditions outside. So it's looking at outdoor temperature and modulating how that boiler is operating to reduce running it all the way up to max temperature or where it was set for. So it also enables warm weather shutdown or a boost override. So it's a nice option if someone's concerned about saving money. It's an older boiler, and you can offer that retrofit for them and save them some money during the heating season. Plumbing products, real quick, I'll go into this. Mixing valve, AM mixing valves. They've been tried and true for us. It's a common application. We also want to scald proof the whole house on domestic hot water. There's still 40,000 scaldings a year that take place across the USA because the whole house does not have a temperature valve, thermistic mixing valve on it. We make them in various sizes. We also make them for radiant. We make them in PEX. We make them in ProPress. We make them with a dial set in it. We've improved the internal guts of the unit, so they are very robust with Teflon, and the ProPress seems to be being the standard as we move forward today. Hydronic products, fill valve and backflow preventer, the FM911. That is a set it and forget it. It's an easy fast fill device. It'll fast fill at street pressure. And then whatever you set the poundage for, so if it's 12 or 15 pounds, it will fill and then come down to that pressure automatically. So it's a nice fast fill, set it and forget it. And that comes in a kit. And we also have a dual backflow, the NK300, which is probably going to be code in the future. A lot of municipalities are looking for redundant backflow protection, and it's completely serviceable. It's one casting, which is nice. It has service valves on it. And as you see, there's a styrofoam there. It actually can be sandwiched in that styrofoam if you're insulating the whole thing. This comes out of our European operations. We have a big footprint with Sparco Brockman, and that's our company. And then we're bringing a lot of that product into the United States. Obviously, in Europe, they think we're nuts moving air around. They heat everything by moving water around. Expansion tanks. So we have these in a kit, which is really nice. Comes with a tank, your fill valve, the check valve, so if I need to replace the tank, I don't have to drain the system, and also an air eliminator, which is extremely effective at getting air out of the system. It's serviceable. We make them in ProPress now and NTB and Sweat. So it's a nice unit. You can move the valve around. So if you're up against the joist at the top, I can turn that valve and spin it any direction I want to clear a joist. And it comes with the automatic venting on it. Inside that, I'll just stop for a second. On the right-hand side, you'll see there's a stainless steel brush in there. So it's very effective at eliminating air bubbles, very quick, very fast. And the other thing, it really doesn't need, there's no problems with some product out there. You'll look inside in the copper cage, depending on how hard the water is, it's kind of missing and it's not doing its job. So this is all stainless and serviceable. We also have air vents in a host of different products, automatic, industrial ones, gold top universal air vents, maxi vent, low profile. A lot of guys forget those options that we have. And the EA series is integral shutoff and serviceable. That's the one with the black top on it. So it's a nice option. ProPress zone valves. So we introduced ProPress zone valves. You're seeing guys utilize this more often. I did a job in Atlantic City, and the guy went with ProPress, and I said, why did you go with ProPress? Just for curiosity. He goes, well, I didn't have the tool, and I kind of said, you know, do I really want to spend the money for the tool? And I got the job, and then Atlantic City told them they have to have a fireman on site for fire protection at the cost of $350 a day or $500 a day. He said it was an easy decision to go with ProPress. So these come just as you see that in the box. There's nothing that you have to do. They're ready to go right out of the box. And the way our valves work, they're immediate. Where some of our competition, you got to kind of wait a little bit. Our valve opens and then it's always closing on a new point on the ball. So the ball always seats in a different spot, so it's always very reliable on its shutting off and turning on. And again, it opens immediately when there's a call. Water hammer. We also have a 5000 series. If anybody ever looked at a car drum on an old car, how the brakes are applied as to slow the wheel down. Well, inside that cover, when you pop it off, it's kind of what it looks like. So basically, as it closes, it slowly closes and starts the valve coming down, that it closes at a slower rate and you eliminate water hammer. So it's a nice option if you run across that in a home or an application or where they have water hammer. Again, we have them in sweat, 1 inch and pro press. And then we also introduced last year a new hydronic panels, both valve and switching relays. The nice thing about these panels on the valve controllers, they come with 80 VA, and the transformers are thermatically fused. So if you got a new technician, he bucks a transformer, it's going to heat up, cool down, reset itself. The board is also fused, and there are spare fuses on the board itself. As far as wiring, it's straightforward. At the top, your thermostat gets wired, whether it's R&W or if you got a common. If you need Wi-Fi stats, you got plenty of VA to take care of the zone valves along with the Wi-Fi stats. A lot of guys don't know when you're connecting a Wi-Fi stat, they can pull as much as 7 VA communicating to the cloud. So if you do Apple HomeKit or any kind of communication in the cloud, it does pull more VA. And sometimes that's problematic if you have maybe an older zone valve, an older TACO that may pull more VA as it ages. There's also more room on the switching relay panels at the bottom of this. It has extra room for line volt wiring, and also it'll snap on a DIN rail or track bar. So you don't have to put screws, it'll just snap on the rail. Multiple zones, aquastat, priority zoning, pumps or valves, and also domestic hot water. We can twin them together if you're doing more, and then if you have a more elaborate system, we also have our AQ zoning, which goes up to 64 zones. For those, and that also does what they call zone synchronization. So you're not cycling the boiler, it's anticipating a call from the zone and pushing the water out to that zone, anticipating it. So you get a flatter curve. You also pick up probably in larger homes 7 or 8% in savings, so you're not cycling the boiler on and off. So one of the things I want to show you, this surprise slide, is that we just launched 3 new thermostats on the non-connected. So they're not connected and non-programmable, just a simple up and down, on or off. So the Pro 3000, the Legacy, is back. If guys want it, it's available. It's at your distributors. The 2 new ones are the E1 Pro. So think about our horizontal 1000, but now this one has a huge font, a big number. Someone just wants simple up and down, on or off. The nice thing about this is that when you press the up button or down button, the font size stays the same. About 10 seconds go by and then it flips back to actual temperature. So it's a nice feature. The T3 Pro fits on our universal wall plate. It's a little wider and again, much larger font for those customers that I want simple, I want up and down, something I can see real basic. So there's a lot of those out there. It's one of those products that you should have on the truck, and just to address those issues that come up with consumers like myself that wear glasses and the fonts, boy, I wish they were bigger. it's quite handy. So I just want to make you aware of that. And it's budget friendly from a pricing standpoint. One of the things that a lot of guys are aware of, but some guys forget about, is we have Contractor Pro points that are logged by your distributors, is now called Pro Perks, Resideo Pro Perks. Same concept, but more enhanced. And to give you just a quick idea of how that works for your company, for your business, is if you're a Pro Perks member, every time you purchase a Honeywell product from a distributor, they put in a bucket, Pro Perk points, which is actually real money. To give you an example, for every $100 you purchase, $2 go into that bucket. So it's automatic. You can access those points. You can use it to buy golf balls or a gas grill, but the real value is turning it in for a product from your distributor at no charge. So even when you get the free product, you earn the points on the product that you just picked up. So it's a great loyalty program. Call it a frequent flyer program, and there'll be enhanced things that we do throughout the year if you're a Pro Perks member. Easy to join, very simple, and there's no qualifications or anything like that. It's free to join. Turn your points into profits. We also have things you can use it for. You can actually have, we have what they call Homes University, pre-COVID, and now post-COVID, we'll probably have some dates, probably will be in 2021 for our Homes U, and you can send out a key employee out to Minneapolis and spend some time with us in Homes U. Taking comfort, we're upgrading our websites and products that were covered, the solutions around the house, a breadth of products, both on the control side, on controlling boilers, RTS products, but also indoor air quality, water solution products, and security products as part of our total offering with Resideo and Honeywell Home. So I'm going to kind of pause here on a combustion Q&A. If there's any questions, I don't know if Rick, you've seen any questions in the queue, or Jamie, you've seen any questions in the queue, but be happy to answer them now. Or if you just want to send us an email and get back to you later, be more than happy to do that.
Thanks so much, Lou, for reviewing the technical presentation on our boilers and oil combustion. We do have a few questions that have come through, and want to just remind all of you that if there are any questions on anything that Lou or Rick covered today, go ahead and take a few moments and enter that information into that Q&A feature that's in your Zoom controls, and we will do our best to address those questions in the time that we have remaining. So I'm going to turn it back over to the two of you to answer some of those questions for us. Sure.
We did get a question here. It says, is the ignition carryover period adjustable? I'm taking that they're asking, can we adjust the time the igniter stays on? The answer would be the igniter stays on all through the trial for ignition. So if we have ignition immediately, right after that, the ignition will drop off if you have it set that way. But it does drop off, and it's not adjustable to say I want it to stay 3 to 5 seconds after flame is proven. That is not adjustable. It's either drops out after flame is established, or you can keep it on interrupted throughout that burner cycle. Hope that answers that one.
Yeah, that's correct, Rick. It can be chosen as an interrupted or the intermittent control, and it's your choice when you do that. It will just, point out if it does not prove, it will document that in the error area.
Yeah. The next one, Lou, is what is the lockout threshold in ohms?
That's a good question. I don't have the full spec here book for the lockout in ohms, but I will get back to you if you want to put your name in there and sign off on that. Again, usually if it's starting to trend in the wrong direction, it will point that out. But I'll get back to you on the lockout.
I'm not exactly sure what the exact lockout is, but you're teetering, once you get over 1600 ohms, something needs attention. We'll get back. That was from Bob O'Brien. Bob, we'll get back to you on that one, on the exact ohm lockout. Got another question. Can you use an alarm module with a dry contact? And the answer to that is yes. We do make a separate little module, very simply wires to the Virocom terminals that Lou mentioned, the 1, 2, 3 terminals. You wire that into the control, low voltage wiring, and then there's a set of open contacts where you can, dry contacts that you can go to a relay or something to set off an alarm or a light or something similar to that.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we also can wire that up to the thermostat with a dry contact on the Prestige IQ, and you'll get a notification on the thermostat itself. Or if I have remote phone access, I would get an alert. Let's say I had a church with a couple boilers and one of the boilers dropped out on safety, get an alert to roll a truck to that location.
Right, and just a peek behind the curtain. We are currently working on, and this was actually provided by a technician that actually wired that alarm contact in with our water and freeze detector. So they were able to receive an alert through the email right to their phone. So that is something we're currently working on to get a set of documented instructions and approvals for doing that.
Yeah, one of the things that, obviously we live in a connected world. It's actionable items that what's going to generate a truck roll, what's going to be, because you don't want ghost calls, right? You don't want to be running around making ghost calls. So it's actionable, and these things can be actionable when it's connected through the thermostat and living in our connected space that we have from a security standpoint, or security of the whole house, let's say.
Okay, it looks like that is all of our questions that have come through. So thank you, Lou and Rick, for answering those questions and providing your insight on these products. We really appreciate it. And before we sign off today, we want to just let you know that we are offering an ongoing customer webinar series every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And these online sessions are very similar to what we reviewed today. We take approximately 45 minutes and go through a technical training each week, and we leave time at the end where you can ask questions to our sales team and our product managers on any of the products that we have just reviewed. We do have a session this afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on humidification. And next week, we are featuring a technical training on our IAQ products. So we invite you to find more information on that upcoming series of webinars at resideo.com/webinars for more information and to register for these trainings. You will also find recorded versions of those trainings as well if you'd like to catch up on the products that we have covered in the last few months.
And I'm going to wrap it up real quick here with a thank you to all of my counterparts in the industry. Looking forward to a great year. Wish we could have met in person this year with OESP, but I'm really happy that they went out of the way to create a virtual trade show, that it's going all month. And we look forward to a great season, and stay safe, stay healthy out there. And thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, I'd like to also add, yeah, thank you everybody for attending. And one last thing, we do also offer, if you're interested for your technicians, hands-on training. So this module that Lou did a fantastic job on, we do with live training modules. And we also offer live, what we call hands-on gas source training, where we go through our gas products and ignition modules, gas valves, and all that. So keep that in mind and reach out to Lou or myself, and would love to set that up once this pandemic gets a little more under control.
And with that, everyone, thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful day.